Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah amma ba'd. Fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Faskuruni azkurkum washkuruli wa la takfurun. Qala rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Sadaqallahul azim. We begin with the praise of our Lord, our Creator, our Provider, our Sustainer, the King of all kings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we send salutations upon the greatest creation of all, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ashabihi wa sallam, and all the Ahlul Bayt, the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, the Tabi'at Tabi'een, the Awliya, the pious and the righteous. May Allah be pleased with them all. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu reported that a man said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Advise me." And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, "Do not become angry." The man asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam again, "Advise me." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam again said, "Do not become angry." For the third time, this man asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Advise me." And again, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Do not become angry." Now, this man went to the Prophet ﷺ to get some golden nuggets, as we might call them. And maybe he was after something really special, something hidden, something magical. And yet, the Prophet ﷺ repeated the same message 3 times. And it may be a simple message, but it's a powerful message. And it's probably a message that people like myself, we don't really act upon. Now, we all know what anger is. You can ask a 5-6-year-old child or a 60-year-old man what anger is. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody has experienced it. And the majorities will have a problem controlling it. Now, sometimes people think that all anger is bad and it can't have any positive effects in any shape or form. You can have good anger. So, for example, if you don't read Salah, you can be angry with yourself, but you want to use that in a constructive manner. If you see wrong being committed or oppression, then again, it is right to be angry and right to speak up, but again, in the correct manner. So really, this feeling of anger is a natural human emotion. The problem is, like with many things, can we balance it? And often that's where we go wrong. Anger is a prelude to usually backbiting, pride, envy, slander, hasad, you name it, it always involves an element of anger. Now, often we may get angry over little things. Somebody breaks a plate at home. You'll often find the man in the house will usually have something to say about that. Any other small loss, again, people get angry over these little things. Little minutiae on our day-to-day. And I'll give the example. The plate's broken. What are you going to achieve by being angry about it? Yes, one can say this shouldn't happen. Maybe it should have been put in a safer place or handled with more care. But that can be done in a constructive manner. There are a number of methods you can use to cure your anger. But unfortunately, it doesn't come in a pill form that we can take and it'll be resolved. One such method is using intelligence and logic. So really, if we think here we have a situation, we get angry, consider what is you're going to gain from being angry. Am I going to actually gain anything? Or am I actually going to lose something? Am I going to upset somebody? And if we look at it in that sense, then really there is no benefit to anger in most situations. And our logic would tell us that, well, what's the point? You're wasting your breath. But the reality again is, it's very hard to think about intelligence and logic in that heat of the moment. There are other messages you can use by not being in environments where it's likely you may get angry, or in the company of certain people, you're more likely to get angry. Another method is to learn patience, not to get angry in the first place at these things. But ask anyone, that's a long, hard road to being patient. We can control anger. We've all got examples in our daily lives. Often people, if they get angry at work, people don't get erupt at work. They control their anger. If your manager or your boss or colleague does something wrong, do people start shouting in the office environment, in the shopping environment? We don't. But yet, something goes wrong at home, we erupt. So the reality then is that we can control ourselves at work, yet we're not doing it at home. Because if you work in an office environment or a shopping environment, if I asked you when you heard one of your colleagues shouting properly, you'd probably say it doesn't happen maybe once a year when everyone will turn around and look what's going on. Because it's such an uncommon thing, we'd be very surprised by it. There are huge, huge benefits of controlling your anger. And I could spend most of the night going through them, but I'll just give you one hadith reported in the Sunan of Abu Dawood. And the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever controls his anger at the time when he has the means to act upon it, Allah will call him before all of mankind on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, and will let him choose his reward. So I'm not sure there's a bigger reward than that if you think about it. You've got your choice there. And the first part of it is you can control your anger at the time when you've got the means to act upon it. And we can all probably think of examples in our lives where we have been angry and we had the means to act upon it and we did act upon it. And really, it's in that scenario where if you can just control yourself, hold yourself in that heat of the moment, therein lies that greater reward. Practical ways to control anger. Again, another hadith reported in the Sunan of Abu Dawood, the Prophet ﷺ said, anger comes from shaitan, and shaitan is created from fire. And fire can only be put out by water. So whenever one of you is stricken by anger, go and make wudu. And I can tell anyone, has anyone ever actually practiced that? Anyone not practiced it? I've never gone and done wudu when we're angry because it probably doesn't occur to us and we're probably like, think, wow, but here we have actual guidance and, probably less than 1% of the Muslim population actually acts upon it. Literally it'll be 1 in a million who actually at that time will actually be able to control themselves and think, okay, rather than me getting angry here, I'll go upstairs, go and do a wudu. Probably a more easy one is to do this. If you're angry when you stood up, sit down, practice it. And if you're still angry while you sat down, lie down. I can guarantee your anger will subside. As soon as you lie down, that anger subsides. And I think there's some obviously hikmah behind that obviously when we're angry, the blood is rushing to the head. So when we lie down, that blood will obviously not rush to the head so quick, and therefore that's why the anger will subside. Yes. And also, importantly, we should seek refuge in Allah from shaitan. So we should say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim at that time. Because that is the greatest protection, because anger is really, most of it is from shaitan. Another one, if any of you becomes angry, again this is a hadith, let him keep silent. Again, I don't see many examples of that even in my own life, because when you're angry, the last thought in your head is, I better shut up. Because the reality is, if we had that thought, we won't be angry in the first place. And really, we will all know examples of when we don't keep silent, it often gets us in trouble. And a common one is, you hear about divorce situations where the man says, I set the talaq 3 times in anger. And then he goes, shopping for a fatwa from any imam, he'll say, oh yeah, it wasn't, you don't have to abide by that, etc., etc. And often, reality-wise, is who does divorce in happiness? Everyone tends to divorce in anger. The feeling and the emotion of anger, it has a mental and a physical effect on us. So studies have been done to show that when you're in that anger mode, your blood pressure is higher, your heart rate is increasing, and really that's not good for us. So you're being angry and you're actually damaging your own health. So keep thinking about when you do get angry, actually what am I gaining? What benefits am I getting here? Because at the moment, it all seems to be all negative here. I'm going to upset someone, I'm going to usually commit sin, my blood pressure is going to go high, my heart rate's going to go high. And, God forbid, people have been known to have heart attacks in anger because the heart rate got so high. Often those of us as children, when they do something wrong, we get angry with them. Now, yes, you can be upset and show a level of anger with them or displeased with them. But again, most people, what do? They've got that anger and they want to take the frustration out on the kids because the kid has done wrong. But really what the parent is doing is just releasing their own anger on them because they will think that's the thing to do and it makes me feel better. All of us have to recognize when we get angry and what are the signs. And everyone can think of that in every situation they've been in where they have got angry. Why did I get angry? And what are the signs? That's the first step to controlling your anger. Now, often people use this as an excuse. People will say, well, you know what I'm like. I've got a short fuse. I'm an angry person. And so therefore, if I get angry, it's your fault. It's not my fault. It's your fault. So what they tend to do is they try to excuse their own behaviour because they may say, well, I've always had a short fuse, you should know that, so don't provoke me. And that happens quite a lot. People justify their own behaviour by trying to say, well, this is me. I'm always angry, and really it's your fault. You weren't born angry. Nobody was born angry. You've developed that trait over your life, and you've decided not to control it. And worse than that, you're now trying to excuse it, saying, this is me, it's a part of my nature. Everyone can change their nature. There's not a person who can't change their nature. It just requires hard work. Many situations in the house, or even outside, where violence is used. Why is it used? Because people can't control their anger. They can't control their anger, and how does it exhibit? In physical violence. Now, people they're on some kind of self-purification course or tazkiyah, and those of you who come regularly will know that the prophetic path offers what's called a tongue sheet. It's like a tick sheet. And again, even people on that, when they get an X because they've done something wrong, they will blame the other person, saying, well, you knew I was on tazkiyah and you caused the situation yet again. And again, they're doing the same thing, making excuses. I mean, reality-wise, how do you think your tongue is going to get tested? How is your patience going to get tested in life if you're not put in a situation where somebody does something wrong and the ball's back in your court, and how do you react? We'd all like to get through life where we're not in any kind of situations where the need for anger may arise or the need to be impatient. But I think we're living in cloud cuckoo land if we all think that that's going to happen. It's never going to happen. Accept it and deal with the daily situation in your lives. I am going to have situations where I could get angry, and therefore I need to do something about it. Otherwise, you're just going to make yourself upset, make other people upset, and it has no positive effect. Often people will think, I can get rid of the anger in myself. Now, unless you're an awliya of Allah, then really that feeling of anger will come. Recognize when that feeling comes and try to deal with it. By patience or whatever it is, whatever option you use, that feeling, emotion will always come in many given situations on a daily basis. The key is down to dealing with it, as he said. And just like in our working lives, we may have problems at work. We know what we're supposed to do, what strategies we're supposed to do, etc., etc. We're happily do that. We know what to do. Yet in our daily lives, we think we can lumber on through our life, not having to change ourselves one bit, and somehow then think, well, my life is just going to get better somehow. Often, people will think being angry is a manly trait. And we have another hadith from Imam Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ asked his companions, who among do you consider a strong man? And I think they replied as we would reply, the one who has the biggest muscles, the one we are all scared of. They said the one who can defeat so-and-so in a wrestling contest. And the Prophet ﷺ said, that is not so. A strong man is the one who can control himself when he's angry. So let's get out of this illusion that it's a manly trait. This is what we do. This is what our culture teaches us. Men are supposed to be strong and angry. It's not. It's a complete opposite. You're not strong. You're in fact very weak when you are showing anger. Because what are you doing? You're letting the shaitan control you. So in that moment where you may think you're being strong, really the shaitan is controlling you. You're a puppet of the shaitan. That's what you've become, because the self-control has gone and you're in the hands of him and damage is being caused. Now, it is a disease of the heart, and it's a disease of the heart you can have to seek advice on. It's not easy just to do this and think, get up one morning, I'm going to try to practice this. Yes, there are certain elements you can practice, but really you're going to need a teacher, a guide, some assistance of some sort. It's going to be a battle. It's probably going to be one of the biggest battles you ever do in your life, controlling your anger. Because again, if it was that easy, we'd all be doing it. And so therefore, seek help in going on this path. Don't think I'm going to do this alone and I'm just going to change. And know that, look, you'll try your hardest, but I can guarantee you'll still get angry in certain situations. But, you know, you're on that road and you'll see the situations are lessening, as he said. And you've got to train to deal with these little issues first. So these little things that we get snappy on, angry on, you know, men, my food's 10 minutes late, I'm home and it's not there, or certain clothes haven't been ironed, or where's this or where's that, etc., etc. You know, we've got to really control them little issues first, because we're just wasting our time being angry with others, making our home environments not the peaceful environments that they should be. And as I've said, if you can control your anger, there really is a high station guaranteed for you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reward is immense, far more so than praying, as he said, nafals every night, praying in the night, you know, doing zikr constantly, as he said. What's the point of zikr if when you go home, you release out on the people at home, the children, the wife, the parents, all the other relatives? What is the value of doing zikr on 3, 4, 5 times a week, yet when we can't control that small element of anger? So I've just kept the bayan short and sweet today, as he said, because it's a relevant topic for all of us. And we all of us should make this intention that we are going to at least practice one element of it. Be that if I'm angry when I'm stood up, I'm going to sit down, and if I'm still angry, I'm going to lie down. And if you can get to that point of going upstairs to do wudu, then by the time you come down, the argument will have gone. I pray that whatever I said today benefits me first and everyone else as well. If I've said anything wrong or not in accordance with Islam, I seek forgiveness from my errors, and all goodness comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.